All right, so the biggest news here in the NFL this week is Jalen Hurts signed a 5-year, $255 million contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, including a $23 million signing bonus, $179 million guaranteed, and becomes the highest paid player in the NFL with an average annual salary of $51 million. That is an insane amount. Chase, what are your thoughts?
Um, First thoughts, good for him, right? We love to see it. Players getting their bags, right? Super Bowl loser and had an MVP caliber year, didn't quite win it, but good for him. Then my immediate thoughts go to, man, what is Lamar's going to be, right? Lamar hasn't really made to the Super Bowl, but he's got that MVP with him. He's been successful longer than Jalen Hurts has. So I can only imagine if a team, decides to bunker down and actually go for Lamar, what his was going to be, but there's that difference, that guaranteed money, he got more than Lamar is asking, but less guaranteed, and their teams are willing to move on that. Now the Eagles are a little gun ho. They like to give out contracts, right? They gave out that Carson Wentz, he gave him a huge contract after they won the Super Bowl. So they win the Super Bowl, they hand out contracts, but that's just my initial thoughts, and then my second thoughts is, man, Herbert, Burrow, and Lamar or Trevor Lawrence are loving this deal right now because they're all gonna ask for more. He will not stay the highest paid player very long, maybe one season.
Yeah, so I mean, for me here, I'm thinking that kind of the initial thoughts as well. I think he definitely deserved it. We'll see if the Eagles ended up, overpaying for him, right? I mean, MVP caliber season might have won it. He definitely had a strong case if he would have stayed healthy in the entire season. Obviously, missing those two games towards the end, obviously kind of shoved it over into Mahomes' favor. And then being able to play like he did in the playoffs and especially in the Super Bowl. Really, the only thing he did wrong was that weird fumble that happened that turned into a touchdown. That was his only mistake the entire game. Granted, it gave the Chiefs 7 points, but really that really wasn't what lost them the game. I mean, their defense was just very poor throughout that entire game, especially the second half. The defense makes one or two stops, Eagles win that game. Um, so definitely not all on Hurts there. So, and then my thing is this as well. So I think it's smart for the Eagles to do this now because that number is only going to get up, right? If it wasn't Hurts, it was going to be Burrow or it was going to be Herbert or it was going to be Lamar. And so they're getting in on it a tad bit early to get him at a cheaper value. I mean, $51 million is still insane, not cheap at all. But that they're getting in on it now early, right, is going to keep him. It's kind of like what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes, right? So now Mahomes is like what the seventh or eighth highest played quarterback, and that's because they got in on that deal early. And so the earlier you do it, and that's what's biting the Ravens in the butt. They could have got in on this early, and they didn't. So now, if they want Lamar, that number's going to have to go up, and all these other quarterbacks are going to have to go up. I like what you mentioned here about Carson Wentz because that was my thing as well. I would have personally liked to see Jalen Hurts one more year before giving out this contract because this is the same situation they found themselves in with Carson Wentz. He had that MVP caliber season, got hurt. Obviously they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, but he was a huge part of their success that year. And then afterwards, he just came back. He was not the same, right? So one, it is hard to win an MVP in the NFL, but it's even harder to play at that type of level, even if you don't win it, but play at that level where you're in the conversation year in and year out. So I don't put a lot of stock in on like, oh, Lamar Jackson, he won one MVP, like he has to get paid. Matt Ryan won an MVP. Are we talking about Cam Newton won an MVP? Like a lot of guys just have really really good seasons and they deserve to win the MVP. But if they don't play at that level consistently, I'm not one to just give them the bag just because they had one really really good season.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And the other thing is I wonder what this means for the Eagles team, right? They 51 million, in the average of 5 years. are they, the AJ Brown's got that big deal. They're going to need a running back. They're going to have to, they let go of Sanders instead of paying him. But is Devontae Smith, he's coming up on a contract extension. Is he going to get his money? That defense, some of that young pieces of that defense are going to be wanting to stay there. Hassan Reddick is going to want a new contract. Are they going to let him walk? Just a lot of that left tackle at Malado. Is that how you say it? He's going to want a contract here pretty soon. So uh, I don't know. Dallas Goedert's going to want a contract. They've just got a lot of people that they're going to pay. They're going to have to sacrifice somewhere, and smart not sacrificing for the quarterback, right? Sometimes you can get we've seen that with Pat Mahomes winning the Super Bowl this year. You can sacrifice in other places sometimes if you have that guy at quarterback. So if Jalen Hurts is this guy, which I think he could be, that Super Bowl was one of the best quarterback duels I've ever seen. That was in crazy. I mean, Jalen Hurts played insane. We really hadn't seen that. Most of the time, they've just been leaning on his legs in the run game. During the Super Bowl, they just decided to go crazy, and I think AJ Brown bailed him out on some of those deep throws. They were like, no one would have thrown them, and AJ Brown just went up and got him. But other than that, Jalen Hurts played crazy. So maybe you can afford to pay him this and take a pay cut somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with that. You got to keep if you have the guy at quarterback, you have to do whatever it takes to keep him on that roster. Obviously, you hope um, they can chuck their ego aside, kind of like Brady did for all those years, like Mahomes did with his hometown deal, because they're aware, they actually want to win Super. They want to get paid their money, right? And they will, but they also want to leave room for the team to sign other players and build up a supporting cast around them for them to be successful. And so it'll be interesting to see how, as the quarterback number is going up and up and up, how likely that is to happen, because not a lot of other players are gonna take those team friendly deals. Like the players that you said, like they're gonna want to get paid, and if they have to go somewhere else to get paid to do it, they will. Right? We saw that happen with Tyreek Hill. He chose money over championships. He could have had a second Super Bowl ring. Instead, he was sitting on the couch watching at home, just like I was, and I mean, getting $30 million. So I'm sure that helps quite a bit. I didn't get paid anything to watch it. But you play the sport for championships, right? You don't play it necessarily just to get paid. That's obviously an important part, but you pay to win championships. And so we'll see how that affects the team moving forward. Howie Roseman has his work cut out for him. Obviously, this draft, especially with those 2 first-round picks, is going to be crucial that they can get starting caliber players that are going to be successful for them to be on those cheap rookie deals for the next 3 to 4 years, right? It's not normally I don't put as much, stock into that, in the team, because you can find talent elsewhere and things like that. But whenever you're shelling out $51 million to one player, the importance of those rookie contracts just goes up. And so that's where I'm at. I think Howie Roseman has to nail this draft out of the park if they want to continue to be successful. Why they have him. Obviously, it doesn't hit yet, right? So this next year, his cash is still going to be $4 million. So they're not eating that money yet, so they still have some time. But when that check is due, it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, and speaking of, first thing of the rookie deals, Jalen Hurts was a second round pick, so his rookie contract was insanely low for the caliber. He over exceeded that caliber contract. Then the second thing with the contract is, the team friendly. This does not seem too team friendly. 51 million over the next 5 years with almost, majority of it guaranteed. This isn't a team friendly contract like you see Mahomes take. He got a bunch more money, but he stretched it over 10 years. Where, if they don't re up that contract here in, 2 or 3 years, he's going to be a bottom tier paid quarterback the way the market's going. So, it's just interesting to see which guys will take these team friendly deals and what guys will just take. Now, if this is offered, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts should turn it down. This was the Eagles' offer. He says, sign me up, right? I'm not saying turn it down,
For sure.
like the Lamar, they want him on a more friendly contract to go out and be competitive. The Eagles, can continue to be competitive because they have all this draft stock this year where when that big cap hits, they can kind of surround him with some rookie contracts. So just interesting, to see how teams are structurally built.
Interesting for sure. Well, Jalen, congrats on getting paid millions of dollars. Honestly, and a great dude as well. Jalen Hurts is a great dude. I was really impressed with how he handled everything after the Super Bowl. A lot of honestly with that whole team, there was a lot of things that could have been said based on how it ended. I felt they handled that with class, and so we earned a lot of respect for me and that whole organization. So congratulations, Jalen, on securing that bag, and excited to see what you do here this upcoming season.
Yeah, not a better guy to get the money, especially just I mean from college how he reacted to Tua winning him that championship. He could have been real bitter there. You know, his dad came out and said a couple things after the game about how he wanted to make Jalen the highest paid free agent or the most trotted free agent in college football and all of this and all that. And Jalen handled it with utmost class. So, you know, class pays, right? He's half of this contract is because Jalen's such a good dude.